So today I'm going to get you guys caught up on where this car is currently in the turbo build. So I'm still waiting on my rear subframe to get fabricated. I was hoping to have that installed prior to starting this, but I think I'm just kind of going to go for it because I've been waiting around for a while now. So I've already done an EFI conversion. This engine was originally carbureted. What I used is a lot of E30 parts and just a bunch of random parts that interface well with Megasquirt. So I'm running MS2 and I'm using Ford Edis. I'm using a 318i intake. I'm using Ford 42-pound injectors, which since the car is currently NA, they only hit like maybe 40% duty cycle at most. This is a E30 fuel rail, E30 pressure regulator, E85 rated braided stainless steel lines. This is the relay board, which interfaces with the Megasquirt. The relay cable goes off in that direction and then goes through the firewall into where my computer is. So obviously this setup requires a little more electronics than a 2002 was designed for. So I went ahead and upgraded the alternator. This is a 90 amp, I believe. I relocated the battery and moved these relays a little bit to make more room under here. This is the oil cooler setup over here. It's a Durali, which is a pretty nice, good alternative to like a Cetrab or something, which is a lot more expensive. That's the thermostat there, and then it just runs to a sandwich plate there. I'm running a Napa oil filter because the stock Molly ones, they don't clear the steering box, so I have to run this one. It's a little bit shorter. I haven't been having any problems with it. It seems to run just fine. It gets pretty good airflow, as you can see. The intercooler is stashed right there. So the intercooler is already set where it needs to be. Over on this side, you will see this, which is the brain of the Edis, which is a slave to my MS2. This is coil packs from a Ford Escort 1.8. It's mounted where the stock distributor is. This is just a fancy plug. These plug wires are from a V6 Ford. This stepper motor is actually from a Jeep. This is a water neck from an E30 and a GM water temp sensor. This is the stock temp sensor here. This is the wideband controller that I'm running. It interfaces with Megasquirt pretty well, and it's really reasonably priced. And customer service is pretty dang good. And that's going to be the return for my turbo. This wire here, or this pair of wires I guess, runs to my crank sensor, which is also from a Ford Escort. So I'm running wasted spark and batch fire, so I don't need a cam position sensor. The crank pulley has a 36-to-1 trigger wheel on it, which you can see down there. Under here is the throttle body from a 5 Series. I've had to adapt it quite a bit. I welded a bung on the side there. That's for my IAT. That's what you're looking at right there. I'm going to turn this camera upside down for a sec. And then over under here on this side is a Nissan 300ZX Turbo throttle position sensor, which works just fine with the Megasquirt. So over here on the passenger side is where the actual Megasquirt computer is. Here it is. There's my ECU. It's inside that box. So this is I'm actually pretty proud of. So the relay cable comes right through there, and so does the vacuum line, which goes to my map sensor, because obviously I'm running speed density, and the map sensor is integrated into the ECU. So I just have my little USB, sorry it's so bright, I have my little USB tuning adapter there so that I can run that with my tuning laptop, and then I just hook up my cable to that. Guys that I have seen, they'll usually put it somewhere in the center console. They'll put that ugly computer box somewhere over here, and I don't really like that, so that's why I mounted it sideways under there, because it's pretty unobtrusive and passengers won't kick it in that position. And my glove box still works. Other guys will put it in the glove box, but I didn't want to do that either, so that's why I mounted it there. I adapted a Locar TC1000 throttle cable, and that just runs down here to my transmission mount down there that I made, and then goes to the pedal. That is an S14 starter down there. So what I did for the fuel supply is, again, here's those stainless steel braided E85 rated lines. They come back here to these fancy AN fittings, and then underneath this plate is where my pump is. It's a Walbro, what is it, 255 or something like that. So the reason that I did that instead of running an E31, because an E30 pump will go right where the factory sender is, right there. Instead of doing that, I wanted something that would probably work with the 85, so this in theory should work. And then that's my little inline fuel filter right there inside that. These are stall headers down here. They seem to flow pretty well. I have no idea what kind of power I'm making, but I can tell you it's not a lot. Where I'm at as far as physical components that I need to put in place. So I have to install the turbo itself, which requires the installation of the manifold. I have to finish the turbo drain. I have to get the turbo feed figured out, which is going to run from this side of the head across this side and then over to the turbo. And at the same time, I'll probably add a oil pressure gauge to that port over there. I think I'm going to run a hater pipe for the time being. I'll probably just pull the hood off and then run it, because the turbo sits so far forward. I'm probably just going to run a hater pipe that comes back a little ways so I don't burn up the O2 sensor. Put the O2 sensor somewhere in here, and then just make a little whoopty up and out right in front of the passenger's face. And then from here I need to figure out a way to run a filter behind this headlight for the turbo, and then I need to run the charge tube down to this side of the intercooler, hot side of the intercooler right there, and then it'll pop out the opposite side. The charge tube will run right underneath the oil cooler right there, come straight this way. That's where the blow-off valve will sit, somewhere in there, and then it will come into the throttle body over there. And then from there, I'm probably going to burn up this clutch in a hurry, and the small case diff that's currently in the car is probably not going to hold up. So there's really not a long ways to go as far as actually getting this thing boosted. The problem lies in the integrity of the rear end of this vehicle. There's another build series I'm doing regarding the rear end. I already built up a triple clutch medium case that's chilling back here. That's what's going in it. What's currently in it is this, essentially this, which is a small case diff, and they don't hold up well with boost, especially a open one, which is what this is. And it's a 3.64, so that ratio inherently makes it even more likely to get all its teeth stripped out as soon as I go above like 5 psi. Like I said, at this point I'm just kind of ready to start making moves in the right direction. So if the rear end explodes, the rear end explodes, but I've got new, much heavier duty stuff that's going back there soon enough. That I think is pretty well caught up on where this car is. Oh, I forgot to mention it does have a 5-speed swap. I did that years ago. I swapped a E21 Getrag 245 into it. I have 3 of them in total. I've got one that I just rebuilt, this guy. I've got this one, which is dirty, but I think it's in pretty good shape. And then that's a 265 sitting next to it. So I have 3 of them in case they decide that they don't want to hold up that well. I've heard of some guys that actually run a lot of power through them and they're fine. And then if a 245 doesn't end up being strong enough, I also have a 265 that I can swap to. As far as what I'm doing for clutch, it's going to be using this flywheel, which took forever to find. It's from an 83 533i. It's the lightweight 240 millimeter flywheel. I just got done cutting it recently. And that is going to be combined with a M5 clutch kit, which I have stacked around here somewhere. Anyways, that's kind of a quick rundown on where the car currently is.